So I've been thinking I should probably finish this shape editor. Just a pretty useful thing to have, especially if it works. So anyway, I made this cool GUI library thing. Now, I have kind of given up making tutorials for things. I prefer practical examples. So I made this chip using the GUI library. Basically what this little thing does, it allows you to set the inertia and mass on a bunch of props. I guess it's less about the chip. Let's change the mass. So let's set that to very heavy. And I can also toggle altering the inertia on and off. But I've selected 4 props. Now they all weigh 3,322 kilograms. Very nice. However, their inertia hasn't changed. Let's go ahead and set the inertia to something. Yeah, that's good. And now all of their inertias are the same. So yeah, this chip is definitely long. It's definitely doing some stuff. Or you think. This is the typical Starfall experience. Anyway, the most useful as far as demonstration is over here. Basically, making something called a canvas and sticking a bunch of buttons inside of it. And when those buttons are made, I can give those buttons or controllers functions that do things when they are interacted with. And that is basically it for this. So all it is a collection of chips technically, but it just makes it so you don't have to put all the infrastructure down to do buttons basically that someone can interact with. Now I showed this on the screen. I didn't prepare an example of putting this on let's just say a Starfall screen, but you can definitely do that too and probably get the point where my aim intersects with the screen and do buttons that way. Now by default, these are the way the controls look. They are, yeah, pretty ugly. I threw them together in more time than you'd expect for something like this, but you can definitely override the drawing functions. So here I override part of the drawing functions. So now all my text buttons look like some sort of country flag using 2 triangles. But you can do that for every subsequent controller, or you could do that per controller. So let's find a text button somewhere. Over here. So we'll just button. So now only this button. Oh wow, it's a little bit bigger too. That's an accent. But now only this button has the new button style, and you can get pretty clever with this. Give it your own look. Probably do animations too, but by default animations aren't really supported. Now, this is something that is not very intuitive to do in E2 or Starfall, but I did try to go ahead and make documentation. So ideally I would have it so when you hover over a function it would tell you like in C# using summary, but you can't do that. So instead, if you are wondering about a specific thing, it's included in the rest of the library. There's just this functions. It doesn't actually do anything. But this is the documentation. So create canvas, for example. Makes and gets a new canvas, arguments, string canvas name, and it gives you back a technically table, but it's a canvas. Most of the elements have very similar functions, and you can see what they do. And from there you have very specific functions depending on the element type. I am such a genius because I didn't actually show you all of the controls included. But basically, here's all of them. There's a regular button, but it's a toggle. And so on. Little tick box, slider, input. My least favorite, drop down. And honest to goodness, drop down menu. But if you have any other suggestions or maybe something's not working, definitely let me know. So one of the input types I could see myself adding was some sort of, not drop down, but like hierarchy menu for, the shape editor. I'd like to get groups working in that. Man, I have been doing a lot of chips lately, specifically Starfall chips. and I'd like to go back to doing more conventional things. Minor spoilers. Anyway, see you around.